Good evening, everyone. My name is Saugat. I'm a software engineer at Emirates Innovation Lab. I primarily work on blockchain technology. So, what is blockchain? Just a quick show of hands. How many people here know what a blockchain is? Wow. And how many people know what a Bitcoin is, or have heard of a Bitcoin? And how many people know what the difference is between a Bitcoin and a blockchain? That's a lot. So, anyone who did not raise their hands, just a quick primer before I get too crazy too fast. What is a blockchain? It is a chain of blocks. That's all. Thank you very much. Only if it was that easy. So, to understand blockchain, we first need to understand why we need a blockchain in the first place. So, we have all lived in the age of internet of value. Whenever I send you a file, I am sending you a copy of it. Whenever I send a presentation or an email across, what I am sending you is a copy, not an original file. Now that has worked great, but there are a few complications. If I want to send you money, it's not a very good idea to just send a copy of the money. If I send you 500 dirhams, it's really important that I still do not have 500 dirhams with me. So that is called as the double spend problem by cryptographers. So this can be used for sending assets or loyalty miles or money across. This is where blockchain comes in. So in 2008, the financial industry collapsed and a white paper emerged by the name of Bitcoin under a pseudonym by a person named Satoshi Nakamoto. Now, this paper talked about Bitcoin, but what's really important is the technology under Bitcoin. It's called the blockchain. So first we need to understand the difference between a Bitcoin and a blockchain. You can, I'll give you an analogy. So blockchain is an underlying technology which enables cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. You could compare it to internet and Google. So internet is a layer which provides you services like Google and other search engines. Therefore, similarly, blockchain is a platform which provides movement of cryptocurrencies. It could be Bitcoin, it could be Ether, or it could be any other currency you can think of. So the problems blockchain is attempting to solve. There are multiple types of blockchains, by the way. There are Bitcoin blockchains, or Ethereum blockchains, or Zcash, and various others. So the problem the Bitcoin blockchain is trying to solve is money transfer. Now, there's a person A, and if A wants to transfer money to person B, right now the usual process it goes to a third trusted party, usually a bank. Now this has worked great in the past because they provide all the verification and the log keeping and everything, but there are a few complications to it. First of all, it is centralized, that means it can be hacked. Second, it takes up a lot of time. Usually to send a tiny amount, you have to wait 4 to 5 days just to send $100 across to person B. Third, it takes a huge cut out of your transaction. Now, what blockchain is trying to solve is this particular money problem. It removes the third trusted party altogether. So you're sending money across from person A to person B, peer-to-peer, directly. Second, it does it much faster, actually instantaneously. And third thing, it does it at a very small transaction fee. So, how blockchain is trying to address this money problem? For that, we need to understand just 3 concepts: open ledger, distributed ledger, and synchronization. Just 3 concepts to understand blockchain, that's it. Let's start with the open ledger. Now, let's take this as a network of 4 people, A, B, C, D. At the time of genesis, at the time of inception of this network, A owns $10. And now A wants to transfer B $10. What this will do is, it will take that transaction and it will add it to the previous transaction. It will link it to the previous transaction. You transfer $5 from B to C, it takes that transaction and it adds to the previous transaction. Similarly, if C wants to transfer D $2, this transaction is added to the previous transaction. Why it is called, so this is a ledger. Ledger is a list of transactions. Why is it an open ledger? Because this is public, this is open for anyone to see. Simple. Second concept is distributed. Now the problem which blockchain is trying to solve is centralization. So centralization results in hacking. So distributed means everybody has a copy of it. Everybody owns the ledger. That is fairly easy to do. You give everybody a copy of the ledger. Now, this solves the problem, but just arises one more problem, which is how will you synchronize each copy now that there is no central server involved? How will you make sure that A has the same copy as C or B has the same copy as D? There comes the concept of synchronization. Now, let's take this example, this particular example, and we want to send D $5. Now, this transaction is an unconfirmed transaction because nobody knows if D has enough money in his wallet in the first place to transfer $5 across to a person D. So this is an unconfirmed transaction. To verify it, you need to understand a concept called miners. How many people have heard of miners, like Bitcoin miners? So you need to understand the concept of miners. So miners are just other people only in the same network who have the entire ledger with them. So in this particular example, let's say A and C are nodes. A and C are miners. So what happens is miners will compete against each other. Who will take this unconfirmed transaction, validate it and add it to their particular ledger. The first one to do it, the first one to take this unconfirmed transaction and add it to their ledger will receive a financial award, also called Bitcoin. So I'll get deeper into it. So what miners need to do to solve this puzzle is validate the new transaction. So to validate this transaction that B has $5 in his account in the first place, that is fairly easy to do. Because since the ledger is open for everybody to see, you can see all the transactions B has made. You can add and subtract them, all the debits and credits from his account, and then you see if B had $5 in the first place in his account. Now the second problem, find this specific key. You have to find that particular key to add it to the current ledger. That finding the key is really important, and the process of finding the key is very computationally intensive. It requires a lot of power and it requires lots of time. Because the search for that particular key, the specific key, is random. So every miner is randomly guessing what the key is so that he can add it to his particular ledger. Let's say that C found that special key after lots of computation time, found that key. What it will do is it will take that transaction and link it to its ledger. Now A is also a miner. C will say that I found the key, I can validate the new transaction, I found the key to it, here is the key, here is the transaction. Now A will see that C has already found the key for it. Now there is no incentive for A to actually find the key because this person found the key and got the Bitcoin as the reward. There is no incentive for A to now search again for the key. What A will do is, A will take that transaction and it will copy it in its own ledger and will go on and search for any other transaction to validate and hopefully earn Bitcoin then. So that's how miners then share the transaction amongst themselves, and then rest of the nodes in the network, like everybody just copies what miners are put in the network. So everybody's copy is now synced. Now, why you should care this? There are various applications to it. Major one being prosperity. I'll take the first example of remittances. Now, the most amount of money flow from developed countries to developing countries is not via some fund transfer or relief funds. It's by people who are living in another country and sending money across to their families in a developing nation. Now, people are being ripped off by 10%, 20% transaction fee over even a tiny amount of cash sent across to another country. Now that's a big problem. Even if you are trying to send 100 dirhams across to anybody in a developing nation, you can only send like 90 dirhams. So 10 is taken by some remittance company. So Bitcoin sort of addresses this problem and takes care of it, but there are various other companies like Abra which is trying to solve this particular problem because it sends the money instantaneously and takes a very small amount of fee, one there, less than 1 there. So that is one problem which blockchain is trying to solve. Second, data ownership. Data is the new currency, it's the new asset. You produce the data, you are the one who generate that data, But the problem is your data is not owned by you. You must have heard about the Facebook hacks, the Google Plus hacks recently. This data, you're producing it, but you're not owning that data. Every day you're browsing through Facebook and you're leaving these digital crumbs behind you. Now these digital crumbs accumulate and they form a virtual you. And this virtual you is actually better than you because it remembers what you did the previous year, what you exactly did 2 years back, and that you have made a friend 2 years back. You don't particularly remember that yourself. So data ownership is really important because you do not want your data to get leaked. So again, companies are working on it. One solution being there is a black box which goes along with you. So if you're signing up to some bank or another social media site, you only give tiny shred of information that they actually require. Not everything that, let's say a bank does not require how old are you or how many friends you have on Facebook. So it only gives that tiny shred of information and rest of the data is owned by you. Because it is the data generated by you. Third, compensation for creators. So that is like what Zishan already talked about as well. Now, let's take the example of music. Many people create music, create beautiful content out there, but you get like a very tiny shred of cash out of that. If you today create a hit song and get 1 million views on it on YouTube, you barely get like $36 out of it. Because all these record companies get a huge transaction fee out of it. Now, today what people are trying to do is they are creating music over the blockchain. So there is a concept called smart contracts. Rather than having a person in between, like an intermediary, you have code in between. So the code defines the logic. So you can define it like if you want to use my music for a movie, I will charge this particular amount of dollars. If you want to use my music for a YouTube video, I'll charge this particular amount. So there is no third person in between who is just validating everything. There's this code in between, and whatever you tell it, it does that. So these are the three applications of prosperity. Now technology does not create prosperity. It's people who create prosperity. All I want to say is that this technology genie is now out of the bottle, summoned by some anonymous person or persons. What that is giving us is another kick at the can, another opportunity to right what's wrong and to solve some of the most difficult problems in the world if we want it. Thank you.